Hello, welcome to Sarah Overbooked. I am Sarah. Today I will be talking to you about the books I read between September 9th and September 15th. While we do this, I'm going to be working on my Halloween Advent Calendar puzzle. So I'm just going to be chatting. I read 3 books during this time. First book was Horror Store. It was a reread. I listened to the audiobook. It was the book that I used to, I drive, basically. That's what I use audiobooks for. I enjoyed it the first time I read it. The second time, actually, this is one of the rare books that I would recommend the audio for. It made it a little more engaging, but it's a pretty good story. When I first read it, I wasn't working in retail. I do work in retail now due to an injury and unable to continue working in my field was before. And it hit home a little more, definitely related to it more. It's basically a story of an IKEA type business that is haunted. People disappear, weird things happen overnight, and they decided to do a night shift and see what's going on. Grady Hendrix, I consider him campy horror writer, so if that's the vibe you like, I would recommend it, and I would also recommend the audiobook. The second book I finished in this time period was Gemini, the second in the Illuminate Files trilogy. Again, I really enjoyed the first one. I really enjoyed the second one. I did the immersive reading of this, where I listened to the audiobook as I read along, and I really enjoyed this one too. I don't want to give anything away, so I'm not quite sure what to say. The Illuminate Files follows different groups of people. Each book is so far has been different groups. There's an attack on a planet, and the aftermath of the attack is what this story follows. It's none of that's right. The first one follows the people leaving the planet. The second one follows the people who are on the jump station that the people leaving the planet are going to. They're basically young adult stories where a group of people are overcoming great odds in space, on spaceships, on space stations. I don't know how much I should say other than I do recommend reading these books. I think they're very good. They're very fast and fun. But it being a second in a series, I don't really have much more to say. The third book that I read this week is What Remains, a memoir. Let me just start out with, I did not like this book. This was picked for my book club. It took me 2 months to read it because I can't DNF. There were some good parts in it. What Remains, Carol read, I can't pronounce her last name. I didn't know who she was. I didn't care by the end of the book either. But she was on Real Housewives, something like that, which is why the person who picked the book. But let me just start out. If you don't know who she is and you aren't a fan, you're probably not gonna care. Let's see. She was basically telling 3 different stories, but not telling them all the way through. She started on her life, She started on the journey of her husband's cancer, and she started on the life of her family, Caroline and John F. Kennedy Jr. None of them were complete stories. I think that's what my problem was. None of them felt like she was giving the complete story. She just gave a little bit about each, and her being a journalist, it was very dry, I guess, kind of. I did not enjoy it at all. I didn't even go to the book club meeting for it because I had nothing good to say about it. Plus, I wasn't even halfway done by the time the book club meeting came around. Again, if you don't know who she is and not already a fan of hers, I would not recommend going out and grabbing this one. So those are the books that I read during September 9th to the 15th. Trying to catch up with my weeks here, and next week I actually start in on my September TBR, so halfway in, and that's when I started my September TBR. Thanks for stopping by. See you again next time.